It is time for our Money in the Bank 2023 predictions. I am Luco in DAD, and I'm joined by the Jam That Champion, Chopper Pete Quinnell, and the man who is holding the Jam That Championship, Tempest. Now, as it was announced on the Forbidden Door review, WrestleTalk management has decreed that it will be Chopper Pete Quinnell defending the Jam That Championship against Tempest at Money in the Bank, our live Money in the Bank party that we're going to be doing at the Long Arm Pub and Brewery in Shoreditch. But Tempest has been holding on to this belt for you, right?
And, it's been totally fine, and I really appreciate you taking the time to defend the belt on my behalf at Night of Champions. It was really great that you held on to it, so now you can give it back.
You gotta win this thing, Pete.
What do you mean? I'm the champ. Why would I have to win my own belt?
I think he's the champion, bud.
I beat Dan Layton for this belt.
No, you won it on my behalf. I bestowed it to you to defend for me. Like, the whole time you were saying, like, this is for Pete, and everyone at the watch party was like, Pete. Like, it was all about me that night.
I have no memory of this.
Well,
I'm not giving it back.
It's
mine.
It now sounds like we are in LIW Civil War.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bit of Brandon, right? LIW was fine.
LIW is always fine. But seriously, I want that belt back.
So we need to get your predictions in for the Jam That Championship. I suppose we're going to crown the undisputed Jam That Champion with our one belt.
No, we're just going to crown the Jam That Champion because I'm the champion.
Well, he's claiming to be the champion.
And he's wrong.
So we're now going to have to crown who the undisputed champion is, because otherwise it's disputed. And we need to that. So that's what's going to happen this weekend. But the reason why I'm here is to also announce the final two entrants of this year's Jam in the Jar, the third annual Jam in the Jar.
Crazy.
Hoping to make it a three-peat for me this year.
Yeah.
And those final two entrants are Adam Blompier and Sock Puppet Sullivan, who I believe is also trying to make it a three-peat. Oh, no, this is his second Jam in the Jar entry, I believe.
Yeah.
But we are going to be bestowing who they're represented by. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. There's only 6 names there.
Yep.
And there are 7 people in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Yeah.
So I spoke with WrestleTalk management, and what has been decided is that the loser of the Jam That Championship gets Logan Paul.
Ooh.
So if Tempest wins the Jam That Championship and Logan Paul wins Money in the Bank, that means that Pete will get Jam in the Jar. If Pete wins the championship and Logan Paul wins Money in the Bank, Tempest will get the Jam in the Jar. I suppose I could have added a 7th name to this, but then I would have messed up the women's match.
Yeah.
So we were screwed either way. Thanks WWE, thanks Logan Paul, thanks Prime.
So is it whatever match goes on second?
It's whatever match goes on second.
Out of the
so
two.
if the women actually go on second, which I don't think they will.
They never have.
They never have, and I don't think they will this year.
They could open with the men's ladder match this year, though. Totally possible.
Could do. I don't see them doing that.
No.
But whichever ladder match goes on second, that is the official Jam in the Jar ladder match. So actually, if the women go on second, all of this is for nothing anyway, and it's totally fine. So we'll get onto that as we get into it. Let's crack on, shall we? Kicking things off with a singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. Gunther defends the title against Matt Riddle. Now I'm going to come to the official champion, for your pick first, please.
Thank you very much, Luke. So I think this is one of the easier ones to predict on this show, of course, because we've still got a few more months to go before the lovely Walter will break the Intercontinental Championship longest reigning record. And I don't think Riddle is going to be the one to break that streak of his, I suppose. I think this is one of the easier ones to predict on the show. I'm going to go with Gunther.
Pete?
Well, that's everything that I wanted to say. So you stole my entry as well as my belt, it seems. Also Gunther, for exactly the same reasons.
Coward.
No, you.
Well, I mean, to break the tension. Well, it is now time to crown our first Jam in the Jar entrant. So let's do... I was going to try and find a random number generator.
Number?
number.
Yep.
Yeah, and a number one as well, but they're actually harder to find.
Okay. Right.
So I was trying to find a number generator, and
Yep.
that wasn't coming through. So then I searched for number generator, but that was
right.
proving difficult as well. So as the three-peat, looking for the three-peat.
Oh my gosh.
The Brewdog box makes its return, everyone. From worst match ever, the Brewdog box is back.
A staple of the WrestleTalk Podcast channel.
Who's this one for?
This is for me.
For you.
This is my entrant in Jam in the Jar. Should really do them in the order that we announced them in, actually.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, we should do them that.
So it's either Sullivan or Ollie that were first, right?
Yeah. Well, he is the head of this channel, so we'll do Sullivan's first.
Cool.
He runs this company, and he has got...
He has WrestleTalk management.
Damian Priest.
That is not
not
a
terrible.
bad pick.
That's a
not
good
terrible.
pick.
Yeah.
That's a good pick for Sullivan. If the men's match goes on second, Sullivan has Damian Priest. And because we only have one Brewdog box, it's the I Heart Tucker mug from the Monday Night War set for
We've
the
just
ladies.
got stuff that we're getting in. I love
And
it.
he has got for his women's Becky Lynch.
Wow, those are two good entrants.
Strong there for Sullivan Bo Brown.
Very good.
So Sullivan there, that's his two options for Money in the Bank this year. Up next for the undisputed Women's Tag Team Championships, it's Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defending against the women that never lost the belt, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Peter, I actually do want you to go first this time, so
Okay.
please
Great.
take it away.
Yeah. So I think that it would be weird for Ronda and Shayna to lose the belt so soon after winning them. I think Ronda's quest to try and make it like an elevated division, I think they are going to get a bit more time than we would normally expect for a match like this. And I think they're probably going to have a pretty good match, but I do think the champs are going to retain. I think there might even be some shenanigans with Liv and Raquel, maybe a bit of dissension. I don't know. But yeah, for whatever reason, I think Ronda and Shayna are going to retain.
Tempest?
Raquel's got that tag team amnesia thing going on where
yeah.
she probably will forget about Liv Morgan and bring Shotzi to the ring. Yeah, I think this
Ask him,
one...
where's your tank at?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That tank exists half of the time. I don't know if it is as much of a foregone conclusion that Ronda and Shayna are going to retain this match because it's the women's tag titles and anything is possible. Aaliyah won this belt.
So true.
They could make any decision on any given day, and
Yeah.
it will make just as much sense. So, that being said, I do think I am going to go with a retention here, but I think that this is much more up in the air than just, oh yeah, Ronda and Shayna are new champs. That probably means they're gonna retain. I think it's just gonna play out that way. Not specifically for any particular reason.
Valid. Yeah.
Right, well, let's get our next Jam in the Jar entrant. This will be representing Oliver Davis. And he has got, LA Knight. Yeah. That is Ollie Davis's representative. That's a
big one.
That's a big one right there.
It's
which
a big
means
one.
we had a bunch of losers left for me.
And in the women's match,
in
You
his
won last year with Liv Morgan.
sure did. And he is represented in the women's match by Trish Stratus.
also not terrible.
Yeah,
I don't think she's winning.
I don't
but
think she's winning either, but that's
it's not bad.
That's a fun one. So that is LA Knight taken and Trish Stratus taken in this year's Gem in the Jar. Back to the predictions warfare for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth freaking Rollins defends his belt against Finn Balor. Tempest.
See, I, again, don't think that Seth Rollins is going to lose this belt because at this point, I think this is a much more like, oh, he just won the belt, therefore is probably lined up for a long reign with it. I think maybe if Finn Balor had had that moment of his a few weeks ago, and who knows what that could have led to, if that maybe kicked off a swell of fan support or something, maybe it would have heightened his chances. But that being said, like WWE is apparently very high on Judgment Day and everything they've been doing lately, so hey, when those kind of reports come out, usually if there's smoke, there's fire. I don't necessarily think this is going to be Finn Balor's night, but ask me again on a few pay-per-views, and maybe he's the next guy to be World Heavyweight Champion. For this one, probably Seth Rollins, though.
So that's your official pick, Seth?
I'm going with Seth.
Pete?
I'm also going with Seth. I don't see him dropping it this early. I think that there is a chance, there is a non-0% chance that Finn Balor wins the belt here. I just don't think today's the day.
Yeah.
And I think that there's been enough stuff with the Judgment Day that they can move forward with it in a meaningful direction, even if Balor does lose. So I think there was stuff with JD McDonough for a little bit. There's stuff with the other programs that they have going on right now that Judgment Day aren't going to be completely irrelevant if Balor loses. So I think they can lose and still be a dominant force. So I think Seth's going to retain.
Cool. Right, well, let's see our next entrant here. This will be my entrant into this year's Gem in the Jar, and I have got Butch.
Hey, he's English.
Yeah. What a moment, Luke.
Don't fancy my chances this
What a
year.
moment, Luke.
Butch is my pick. Come on, Pete. Done. Not you. We could do this, bud. Me and you.
What happens when he comes out as Pete Dunne at the show?
He's still not winning.
You got to put a stamp on that moment. Have him win.
No, he ain't winning. And in the women's, also a single name, Bailey. I got double B's.
Butch and Bailey.
I got Butch and Bailey for my entrance. I do not fancy my chances this year. The three-peat is looking less and less likely.
I think it could be worse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got
Definitely.
Santos Escobar.
Yeah.
And Zelina Vega.
Yeah. You
I
could've.
mean, maybe Bailey and Io Shirai have some sort of title thing going on heading into SummerSlam,
Yeah.
or one's Money in the Bank, the other's challenging Asuka. Who knows?
I think the women's one is more up in the air.
Yes.
I think the only reason why I do not fancy my chances much this year is because I don't think the women are going on second. But fingers crossed.
Who knows?
Maybe they will. Back to you guys. In a singles match, it is Cody Rhodes versus Dominik Mysterio. I think this will be quite an interesting one. I mean, obviously, my opinion on this doesn't really matter too much. But is there a chance that this is not as a foregone conclusion as some might have thought? Pete, I will come to you first.
Oh, why though? Because I don't know on this one. Because the obvious answer is Cody's obviously going to win because it's Dominik Mysterio. But there's a chance.
Think of the
right?
heat.
But think of the heat if Dominik Mysterio beats Cody Rhodes via, of course, shenanigans.
Brock Lesnar.
What do you mean?
Brock
Dominik's
Lesnar?
just gonna beat him. Just gonna beat him.
Just gonna beat him.
He's just gonna beat him. He's a better man.
If Dom just wins clean,
Yep.
there's every chance that shenanigans can happen and that Dom wins. There's Judgment Day. There's Brock Lesnar. Cody has so much adversity right now. But it is also Cody Rhodes. I'm going with Cody.
Pete picks Cody. Tempest.
I want to have some fun on this show. I'm gonna go with Dominik. We gotta have some differing answers
Tempest
here.
picks Dom. I honestly, that's who I'm going to be picking in Wrestle League. Please do sign up for Wrestle League as well and compete against us. If you think we're morons and are bad at predicting, why don't you show us as much in the predictions? Go to Wrestle League. It's available in the link in the video description down below and in the podcast description as well. But I'm picking Dominik Mysterio when it comes to Wrestle League. I really do think there's a good chance he's winning here.
There is. I think there is a good chance.
Yeah.
Just think of the heat.
Think of the heat,
he's
brother.
gonna have in London
Yeah.
to punctuate that with a win. I think it can happen.
Is he going to have heat? Or is he going to be ironically cheered?
Why not both?
Why not both?
That's the one I'm so curious about. His is
Yeah.
the reaction I'm most interested by. Right, I need to do my next Gem in the Jar entry, which means this is the Professor Dan Layton's entry. I picked up one. There's 3 left. Obs. So he has got Santos Escobar representing him in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
Don't fancy his chances. TBH.
A dark horse, that one.
And in the women's, he has got Io Sky.
Oh, now that one has a much higher chance of winning, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout there for Mr. Layton. Io Sky's a very good representative there.
Yeah.
Up next for you two, I think we're now going to get into the big hitters here. The 3 big matches on this card.
Oh, I don't want to.
We'll save the ladder matches for last, which means the Bloodline Civil War tag team match of the Bloodline of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos of Jay and Jimmy Uso. Pete, you went first last time, so Tempest. Who you got?
I think this is probably your main event of the show. Because
Wouldn't be surprised.
Roman doesn't do anything but go on last. So, with that being said, that always makes me feel like something huge could happen in these kind of bloodline matches, even if it is a tag match rather than a Roman Reigns title defense or something. And maybe if the plan ends up being to do Roman and Jay at SummerSlam, is this the time that we see Roman get pinned for the first time since like 2019? Does Jey Uso pin Roman Reigns to a rapturous ovation from London? I think he might. I don't know if it's going to specifically be Roman getting pinned, but I think the Usos are going to win this one.
Going with the Usos.
I'm going with the Usos. I'm not confident in it, but I'm going to go with the Usos to win.
Pete.
I think this is the hardest match to predict on the card because
Harder than the ladders?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can make educated guesses for the ladder matches. This, I think, is so close to a complete 50-50 because I think regardless, if they are going to do Jay versus Roman, say at SummerSlam, I think you can quite equally do the Usos winning here by either pinning Solo or Roman. Now, both work. You can also equally have Roman and Solo win by pinning Jimmy. And you still maintain that thing with Jay to then go on like that. You can have, like, post-match, like, Jimmy's brutalized by Roman and Solo after the match, and Jay's furious about it and has to, like, go after Roman after that by himself. You know, like, there's avenues with either team winning to get to the same destination. I just don't know what way they're going to go. I really strongly think the Usos have a very good chance of winning this. But I am going to go with Roman Reigns solo Sikoa.
Going with the bloodline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
It is tense, you guys. Which means representing Adam Blompier in this year's Jam in the Jar on the men's side of things, we'll have Rick O'Shea do a flip.
Yep.
Ricochet is representing Adam Blompier.
I think he's there to do flips, not win.
That's exactly. He is the Shelton Benjamin of this ladder match.
Yep.
And on the women's side of things, he's going to be represented by Zelina Vega. So
I don't think Adam's winning.
I don't think Adam's winning this year.
No. You never know.
I wouldn't have predicted Nikki ASH to win that one time.
Wouldn't you?
I don't know. I wasn't watching Raw at the time.
Yeah.
I would've
You
done.
know what? Zelina could win. I just don't think she is.
No, I don't think she is.
But Pete, everyone keeps underestimating her.
True.
That's her character, full stop.
Yep.
So let's do the women's first then, because we're on that subject. For the Money in the Bank contract briefcase, it is Zelina Vega versus Becky Lynch versus Zoe Stark versus Bayley versus Io Sky versus Trish Stratus. Pete, coming to you first.
I think that it is unlikely that Trish, Becky, or Zoe Stark win. I think they're all too involved in their own shenanigans. I think that Becky has a good chance. They've been hyping up Becky a lot to win the Money in the Bank briefcase.
She had the tease with Rhea Ripley.
Had the tease with Rhea.
Imagine what would she be like with that briefcase. But she did touch the briefcase on Raw this week, so
I mean, she can't win.
internet law
That's
decrees.
how it works. So I think those three will kind of cancel each other out. I'm going with Io Sky for this one. I think there's going to be damage control shenanigans. Maybe a breakup. Maybe Bayley will try and cost her, whatever. But Io will come out on top and win the briefcase.
This also might be one of the first times in a few years where they're not going to cash in on the same night that they win it,
They might.
because there's no women's championship match.
And?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I will say, I think there is a strong possibility of the women's title match that is on SmackDown going awry and then running it back immediately after.
Think?
I think, yeah,
Because
Asuka and Charlotte.
Rhea's on Raw next week. Because Rhea and Natty next week.
Yeah, I think Asuka and Charlotte on SmackDown could have a schmoz finish and have them run it back at the pay-per-view with Bianca as a triple threat match.
Oh, interesting.
That's actually quite a good call.
It's a pretty good
that.
call.
Yeah.
In which case, that blows my things out of the water. On that note, actually, do you think Asuka retains, or do you think Flair's winning that belt back? Or her new belt?
I don't know why I'm betting against Charlotte Flair, but I think Asuka's going to retain.
Because I'm picking Io Sky in
Yeah.
Wrestle League.
Yeah.
And that is kind of my Asuka retention, because I think you're doing Asuka Rio into the summer.
I think, regarding this match and SmackDown and everything, I think if I were to pick in Wrestle League, I would probably also choose Io Sky. For the sake of this, I think I'm going to go with Becky Lynch.
Nice.
Because she is another one of WWE's 4 horsewomen, biggest stars ever in the women's division. And this is an accolade that she has not had yet.
Yeah.
There it is.
And I think
What a moment.
I think they will very much like to pad the Miss Money in the Bank list of winners with a certifiable top star.
And it's in the UK.
And it's in the UK, and we don't really have
which
people
she's not
here.
from.
Yeah. Becky Lynch is going to
Close
win
enough,
Money in the
though.
Bank in her hometown of London.
Yeah.
I think Becky Lynch is going to be my pick here. I think Io Sky very easily could win this match. I think in regards to the SmackDown title match, I think that Asuka retains, but probably through some sort of disqualification.
On SmackDown to do the triple threat of the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll certainly see. Let's bring us to our final Jam in the Jar entrant. There's only one name left for both, and that means that Sock Puppet Sullivan is represented by Shinsuke Nakamura.
Also, not
Not high on the list
not
of
the
winners.
highest
Yeah,
on
not the highest
the
probability.
betting odds there.
And in the women, he's represented... Oh, actually, sorry. Okay, so this was a potential seventh option I was going to have. He's being represented by... I've written Tony Stark, it's Zoe Stark, but I was going to have... I was going to do this thing where I was like, because I was going to have 7 entrants, that the 7th person in the women's match would be represented by Tony Stark in the unlikely event that Tony Stark wins. So Zoe Stark is written down on a different piece of paper that I've apparently screwed up. it's over there in that pile of paper. So just a clarification, he's represented by Zoe Stark, but on this piece of paper it does say Tony Stark. So make sure the graphic is right there.
We are professionals.
Iron Man is my favorite women's wrestler.
Yeah.
Hey, look, James Ellsworth has won it. So it could be. There's no denying that it could be Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our final prediction for this episode. It is the men's Money in the Bank ladder match as Ricochet takes on Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight versus Santos Escobar versus Butch versus Damian Priest versus Logan Paul for the briefcase. Pete, you went first for the women's, which means Tempest, I'm coming to you.
This is tricky.
I think this is a tricky one.
This
on the
is a
women's.
tricky one.
I'm pretty set on Io Sky winning the women's. The men's, I've got 3 potential names.
Yeah,
I agree.
as do I.
Yep.
And I think that makes these Money in the Bank matches so much more exciting.
Totally.
Like, I'm so pumped for the fact that I don't know who's going to win and would be pretty much equally as happy with each of the 3 potential options. Maybe not quite equal. I'd like to see LA Knight get something going on, but I mean, if Damian Priest won this match as well, I'd be pretty satisfied with that. And I seem to be a Logan Paul apologist when I'm sat next to Pete, at least.
Yeah.
I remember last year when you blew a gasket about him facing Roman Reigns, and I was
Because
like,
it was stupid.
yes, but it's going to be great. And you know what? It was. I think it's real WWE-ified booking, but I think Logan Paul is going to win Money in the Bank.
If Logan Paul wins Money in the Bank, I think there's a real good chance this does open the show.
Yeah.
That's how you kick the night off, with Logan Paul winning Money in the Bank, and then you do the women's one second. So you can give them the fan favorite, say, in Io Sky or Becky Lynch winning.
Yeah.
I think if the men's match opens, there's a real strong chance that Logan Paul wins. But is Logan Paul your official
Logan
pick?
Paul is my guess.
And then at the end of the night, with Roman Reigns in the main event, Logan Paul cashes in to become your new undisputed champion.
I mean, yeah, or he cashes in on Rollins. So Logan Paul wins at the start of the night, cashes in on Rollins.
It's actually feasible, that. It's actually genuinely feasible.
It's a strong poss.
Yeah.
That they could be.
Yeah.
Pete, our final prediction for the day before we get into our Joker picks. You said you had 2 other names.
Yeah.
Who are your 2 other names?
So my 3 that I think are the most likely are LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Logan Paul.
Samesies.
I think those are the 3 most likely. In order, Damian Priest is 3rd on the probability scale, I'd say. And I'm really uncertain between LA Knight and Logan Paul. I don't know out of the 2 of them who's the most likely to win here. So I think both of them have a very solid chance of doing it. For the sake of fun and for the sake of my heart, LA Knight is who I'm going to predict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Wrestle League, I'm going Priest.
Yeah?
2 reasons. Number 1, because Balor's not going to win the World Heavyweight Championship, I think that's going to sow further dissent in the Judgment Day for this split. Number 2, he's been eating so many L's as of late, and that is typical WWE booking. You beat them like a drum, and then it's like, well, they've got the briefcase now, so none of that matters. And it's a big old reset point. And it was when he took the loss on this Monday's Raw to Cody Rhodes, I was like, oh, I think he might win Money in the Bank.
What a stupid way of
isn't it silly?
Isn't it silly?
I also like that both your predictions are going to ruin internet lore for both the women's and the men's, because Becky touched briefcase and so did Logan Paul.
Good. Internet lore is not real.
So there you go. That is the predictions. It's now time for the Joker picks. Pete, as the actual Jam That champion, I do want to make that. I do want to make that abundantly clear. The actual Jam That champion, Pete. You get to pick first for your Joker.
Here's a question.
Yes.
Because I don't know if we've actually clarified this before. Maybe we have.
The briefcases count.
The briefcases count as championship matches.
Yes.
They are worth 2 points each.
Yeah. So in our Wrestle League and in our the championship world that we live in, championship matches are worth 2 points. Your Joker doubles those points. So if, for example, you picked Seth Rollins, that would be 2 points. If that's your Joker, that would get you 4 points. However, if Finn Balor was to win that match, you would lose those 4 points.
Yes.
So it is a risk and reward. You could either double or lose a lot.
Yes.
Pete, Joker.
I mean, I was just saying that more for posterity's sake because I'm picking Gunther.
Fair. Yeah, fair.
That's my Joker. Gunther's gonna win.
Tempest?
Well, I would have liked to have picked Gunther as the actual
I
Jam
reckon
That champion.
you should have been Jam That champion if you wanted to pick him.
But of the other options on this card, I think I'm going to go with Seth Rollins as my Joker.
That's a smart choice.
See, he does the Joker laugh, so it's thematically appropriate as well.
Yeah, I'm going to be picking...
Dress up as Joker for the WrestleMania
He
ads.
did.
Yeah.
He did do that.
There you go.
I'm going to be picking Seth in Wrestle League.
Yeah.
And so I'm either picking Seth or Gunther, but I think I'm more nailed on to Rollins than I am Gunther. There's always that chance that they could just we're nearly at that record. Psych. Let's just take it away. But I'm going with Seth here. So that wraps it up, everyone. That is this year's Jam in the Jar contestants. That is this year's Jam in the Jar entrants and their picks, and your Jam That Championship match. LIW Civil War, as Chopper Pete Quinnell defends the Jam That Championship against the man who is holding that belt for him in Tempest. We'll see you this coming Saturday for our Money in the Bank live reactions here on the WrestleTalk Podcast channel, live from the Long Arm Pub and Brewery in Shoreditch. Please do subscribe because you do not want to miss what will be an excellent night of fun reactions. We're going to have 150 other wrestling fans in the building with us, and we will see you then. I've been Luke Owen, DAD. That has been your Jam That champion, Pete. That has been your Challenger Tempest. Jam That Jam.